Hey, what's going on, everyone? Super excited to be live on LinkedIn and got the crew here. And today we have our special guest as we talk about money, right? This is episode 2. We're going to talk about cash flow. How do you use money to your advantage? And no better person than Christine Tay. So, Christine, before we go too far, why don't you introduce yourself to our LinkedIn family here, as well as YouTube?
Yeah, hi everyone. First of all, thank you so much, Aldric, for inviting me as your guest. So I really appreciate this. I'm honored. I know you're asking me, do I want to do with Singapore? I said, of course, you're my friend. I'm gonna be your guest. So yeah, thank you so much. And then my name is Christine. I'm founder of Tay Financial Coaching. So that's my last name, TEH Financial Coaching. So I help people transform their relationship with money so they can achieve their financial goals without worrying so much about money, because it all boils down to how is your relationship with money.
Absolutely. So let's start with, since we're talking about money today, right? So what's the best way to utilize money to your advantage? And I'll start with Aldric. I'd like to hear
Me?
your thought and your opinion.
Man, I hogged so much airtime last episode that I felt so bad. I think you guys should. Just as a recap, just for Christine. I went on 10-minute like historical lesson on what money is. It's like oh my god. I was like, well, listening.
No,
myself on
Aldric,
YouTube,
it was
I
good.
like, geez, could be something.
Don't worry about it. It was good.
Maybe let's start the other way. Let's go Jeremy, then Tim, then me, and then we have Christine to have her view professionally and personally on what money really means to us. I think that would be a lot better. Shall we? Jeremy?
So we're going to put you on the spot, Tim.
No problem. Tim or me? I'm
Either
fine.
way.
Either way. So Emma, I'll go. Start with the guy who has the worst relationship with money. Bad with money. Cash. We were talking about cash flow, right? Well, I think what's best described me is more like, living from foot to hand, hand to foot, whatever you want to call it. I think I just have enough for the month with a bit of savings squirreled away for hopefully a rainy day. Because I've kind of always been a little bit more on the saving kind of person. And then with the family, 2 young kids, single income, really not that easy. I wish I could save a lot more. I bet a lot of people would want to do that too, but not so much for me. But in my last experience, when I sort of relocated back from China for working there for 9 years, that time was like at that time I was given like a golden handshake. So suddenly had a bit of a cash flow because I was long time employee in the company, so I got like a 12 months compensation. I worked like 13 years in the company, and wow, then I had quite a bit of a cash flow, right? But I guess I was a little bit clever in the sense that I didn't blow it up and go and spend it on a big holiday or something. Yeah, I did take a short break with the family before that, but that experience educated me that it's very important to really have some money in the bank in case of any bad situation. And because after that, I was unemployed for about more than a year, right? More than 12 months. So that amount of money quickly depleted. And without cash flow, it's really painful because you only see the cash flowing out and nothing coming in. And it is really painful. And I believe, now with the pandemic, a lot of people will be facing this challenge, which is why I think this topic is relevant. And just to share, in the news for Singapore, I think recently in the news there was a survey conducted, I don't know, 1,000 people or something. The survey finding was that 2 out of 3 people in Singapore do not have enough savings to last them for 6 months if they keep up with their existing lifestyle. So another wake up call. So with all these things in the back of my mind, yes, I do think cash flow is important. I'm trying my best to make sure that whatever goes out is lesser than whatever comes in. I guess that's like the basic equation for cash flow. So that's my little take on it for now. Tim.
All right, we were talking relationship with money or cash flow on this one.
So we're talking about utilizing money to our advantage. Yep.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure. I was answering the right question. That's all. All right.
Cool.
So yeah, I'll tell you this. Like, my relationship with money has gotten better over the years. It's kind of like a fine wine, I guess. So when I was younger, I was definitely Mr. Paycheck to paycheck. I won't deny that even a little bit. And you kind of realize after a while that it's hard to keep up with that, and something's going to go sideways. Usually your credit. So my relationship with money has gotten better over the years, and how do I utilize it to my advantage? Is invest. So I invest in myself. There's certain investments you make. I'll give you an example, right? If you're going to teach people how to go remote and how to streamline their business, then it's important to invest in a tool like DocuSign, so you can teach people how to use it, and then also show them that you're using the technology to help them streamline their business, right? But that's an investment you make. So you pay the $50 every month, but at the end of the day, it's a tool that you can use to streamline your own business, and then it's also a tool that you can use to help teach people to streamline their business, right? And other things is investing in the market, which I started doing a little bit more recently. But hey, that's helped increase my relationship with money pretty well. It's done good for me. So those are a couple things I do to utilize money to my advantage. But it's if I could use one word and I could use it 3 times: invest.
That's a nice one. I lived from paycheck to paycheck when I was young, so I'm gonna steal your headline here, but just a little, adding some flavor to it. When I was very, very young, like when I was in primary school, 7 to 12 years of age, my pocket money was. I wonder if the Americans call it like pocket money, but it's like allowance. Was very meager. I could only afford a meal, but I wanted a lot more. So it was my aunt. I mean, just like my post, I was saying that my aunt was the one who gave me that enlightening rod. So she said that, well, money doesn't drop from the sky. You can't dig it from the ground. You gotta earn it, right? Follow the people, and you'll see the money. That's the first lesson that I ever had from her. So I was like, okay. So when I grew up and people said, follow the money, I know exactly what they mean. Like, I can smell it. Like, I can see the sharks swimming. Like when they do big trades over the public securities platform, I was like, I see some anomalies here. I see some spreads opening. Like, why? Like, okay. So should I hop on the bandwagon? Should I bet against them? I think that's one way of thinking about utilizing money. The other lesson that I learned when I was pretty much as a working professional is that money, when it's static, if you just leave it there, it doesn't mean a thing. Money has to move to have meaning. Meaning to say that while we are on a spending economy, we have to spend it to get the value. But what do we spend it on, right? So Tim mentioned that his kind of investments is not so much on the public securities alone, but it's also on the skill sets and on his business. I subscribe to that too. I think when we first get our paycheck, probably for the first year or so, right? I think Christina will be the right person to say this, but I'm just going to leave an opening for her, is that if we are looking at a 10% return or 12% return for our first 2 years of our working life, it will not come from stocks or bonds or portfolio or unit trust or ETFs. It's going to come from ourselves. Because if we put in the money to do personal development for ourselves, the next job offer that we're going to get, the next promotion we're going to get, that quantum is likely to be high. So I think that's how I think about things. It's not always about like the money, but how we invest, which is Tim's word, but how do we invest in ourselves and our knowledge to know that at this point in time, this thing that we are doing is the right use of my money. That's what I think. But I think Christine has a lot more to say. So I'm leaving this as an opener for her.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I love what Tim said about investing in yourself. So I really agree with that. So I didn't come from a history of like, some people become coaches because they had history with debt, getting out of it. So my history, fortunately, I was raised by, in a family that was already very good with money. So my aunt was a great mentor to me. She was very frugal. She saved money. She came to the United States. So I'm Chinese born and raised in the Philippines. So my aunt moved here to immigrated here to United States by herself. She built herself up. She worked hard. She was single, no kids, but she she was able to buy a home, retire well, and she wasn't making much money. So she was a really good role model. So I kind of followed after her. She had me open a Roth IRA. So this is in the United States. A Roth IRA is a retirement account. It's after tax. So she had me open at 20 years old, and I'm like, I have like, what the hell is Roth IRA? So I was so glad she made me open it, because now the money has really accumulated, because of all the years being invested there, and then I've been contributing there. So as far as how do I make money work for me, so yeah, I really believe in also investment. So I'm not a big fan of putting too much money in cash. So I think when I was an employee, because I had a steady paycheck, I was actually a more high risk taker. I mean, I wouldn't recommend this to all my clients. Typically it has to be like 3 months to 6 months worth of emergency expenses. So what that means is that you figure out how much you need for your lifestyle per month, then you multiply by 3 or multiply by 6, depending on your risk tolerance. So I was more a high risk taker. I literally only had 1 month worth, only because I knew what I was doing, and then like I invested everything else. Anything over that 1 month, I invested everything. So, but when I quit my job last year in May, so I have 6 months worth of emergency expense now, because entrepreneur, I don't know who among you are full time entrepreneurs. I mean, our income goes up and down. You have no idea. So you have, for safer reason, I put 6 months. But then like anything after that, I still invest in myself and invest in everything else. So I don't want to make any comment on investments, because I'm not a registered investment advisor, so I can't comment on that publicly. But then like I do invest, and I educate my clients what investments are and stuff like that, but I don't give them any investment recommendation. So yeah, also believe, investing in myself. So like I've been a coach since September 2016. I quit my job last year, May of last year. So I've been a full-time entrepreneur more than a year. So you constantly have to invest in yourself, how to build your business. So I got my enrolled agent, which is an IRS designation, so I can be a tax professional. It's an added value to what I do. Tax is important, right? You cannot run away from taxes. So my motto is that if you can run away from something, might as well make that your friend. So it might not be my best friend, but taxes is my friend now that I know it and understand it, right? So, and also like investing now, I launched my LinkedIn online course. So I'm starting to build more digital products as well, so I have more passive income. Because like as a coach, you only get paid for the service if you do one-on-one. So you get paid for the time you do, right? So at least in digital service, so the more I build and invest in that, so it's more a one-time thing, and then it tends to be more passive, right? So I think my next goal I'm trying to work on, now that I just launched my LinkedIn online course, it's been successful. So I'm that encouraged me to actually build another one more for financial literacy. So I'm going to build a financial literacy online course, because then not everybody can afford my services as new to do one-on-one, and then they're usually the people who need more of my services. So I feel bad for them, so I really want to help them. So I can only do so much. I give them installment plans and stuff like that, but I don't discount, because I don't believe in discounting, because that I don't want to devalue myself. So I actually did a post about that, like, how do you guys feel about bartering or discounting? So a lot of people, if you read the comments, actually don't like bartering or discounting, because bartering sometimes, unless the energy exchange is clean. Sometimes you feel it's not fair, like I've done that. Like initially I've done that, like I wasn't too happy with the result because I got something that I wasn't too happy about. So I end up, like, just telling them, you just pay me what I'm worth, I pay you what you're worth, and then let's just do it that way, even though it might be equal dollar value, but we still pay instead of bartering. Then we don't have to count whatever hours or whatever, right? So then discounting. So unless you came from a place where it's a gift, like it's a clean energy, you really want to, do not discount. You have to know why you're discounting, right? So are you discounting because you feel bad, this is a friend, like you're gonna think, oh, I'm a bad friend, whatever? So if you're thinking like that, do not discount, because you're gonna resent it. The energy is not clean. So it has to come from a place like you really want to. It's a gift. The discount is a gift. Then do so. You can discount as much as you want, as long as you know it's coming from a place of generosity and a place of giving. Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
with you on that one. It's like, I think there's a vast majority of us here. We do our own things. Kevin does it full time. Tim and myself, we do our own thing, and then we have something else.
Not me.
I think when it comes to a point where we are talking about a transaction, that's when the entrepreneurial side of us starts to realize that the world is exciting out there, right? It's not about the income. Now it's about the revenue, right? And how you structure the revenue. How do you, if you want it like flat or you want it like bumpy. And I'm with you on not discounting. I think that there is a certain like rate that justifies why we are doing what we are doing. But beyond that, of course, we can be flexible, right? Like when I do coaching with some of my mentees, I told them I understand, but if you see the value of what I'm doing, I'm not going to discount my hourly charges. But if we overrun, I will not bill you. So that's one way, right? So if you want to squeeze the maximum value out of me, it is totally up to you to prepare. And if you overrun, I'm perfectly fine, because it means that you're interested and I'm interested too. So there's many ways in which we can structure things like that. Bartering sometimes I think is difficult. It's like how many pounds of beef for 3 fishes or things like that. No, it's okay.
It's like 1 hour of my time worth 1 hour of your time. So so it's like there's so much, why just charge what you charge? Like, you charge that much for 1 hour, whatever that package, just do so, just pay each other, and I think that's better. It's cleaner energy. Yep.
And sometimes when because I do have some like mentees from let's say Zimbabwe. Oh, Kevin, you like this? Recently, I have one from Cambodia.
Awesome.
Money is a real issue. It's a real issue. Like, we're talking about people living on USD $2 per day, right? To say that to commit to a coaching service and things like that, that they are dead serious, but the transaction doesn't work. So we can always get payments in other ways, right? Like, can you refer me? Can you refer me to your working professionals in your country? That's one way, right? You bring some sales to me. It's also a form of payment. Or you can do recommendations for me, or you can tag me on your post that helps me to increase my exposure. That works too. While we don't drop our price, that doesn't mean that we don't accept other form of payment. And by that, I don't mean Visa and MasterCard, right? I mean other creative ways.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Just my add-on. Kevin, let's go.
Yeah, so I think my relationship with money is kind of interesting as well, and how I learned to make money work for me, right? I'm similar to Christine. So I'm Chinese. I'm immigrant from Hong Kong to the U.S. and very typical Chinese race family, right? My mom and dad came here because 1997 happened. We knew China was going to take over Hong Kong, so we immigrated to the U.S., had family in the U.S., and came here and just worked at a restaurant, right? My mom and dad, and then slowly my dad worked at a restaurant, and then later own a restaurant, and then later on own multiple restaurants, right? So very typical Asian family that immigrate to the U.S. But at the time, my family was very typical Asians, right? They believe in saving, right? You just live very frugal, but we just keep cash in our safety deposit box. And then
I get it. I get that.
Under the pillow?
report,
That's
right?
an Asian thing. You know, Timothy will not be able to appreciate this, but it's an
Whoever
Asian
wants
thing.
to pay
I'm
cash,
allowed to
pay
say the deposit box.
I can understand that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Under the pillow, under the mattress, random stuff, right?
That's Asian. That's definitely Asian. You know, I get that. Okay.
So that's my upbringing. So that's how my family saved, right? And then I slowly, as I go through college, and I shared this in some of the other episodes before, I was like, man, there's American families that have like way bigger houses, and they have cars, and their dads and my parents have like investments. And then it started opening up my mind. What is investments, right? So after my senior year in high school, I started looking into what do these American families do that my family don't do, right? And then I started learning how, Roth IRA, different stuff. And I used to be I'm still a researcher, right? I used to hang out at Barnes and Noble and all those bookstores all day and just read, right? And I started learning how can I utilize money to my advantage, right? So Asians, we're very big on not taking loans and make sure that you pay back everyone because you don't want to offend family. You don't want to offend everyone, right? So the whole philosophy in my family is there's no debt, right? You don't owe no man debt. That's just not good. But then I started learning in America, you can use money to your advantage, and you start utilizing, hey, you can borrow, right? And then I start learning, hey, what's interest? How do you build credit? And then how do you utilize money to work for you? And I told the story before in 2007. I was in a family business where me and my dad were partner. My father ended up diagnosed with cancer, and I lost my dad, right? And in 2008, I took a bankruptcy because the business I was in, at the time, we were going through financial crisis. It wasn't a business I wanted to do personally. And so a lot happened, right? But during that time, as I was rebuilding, I start really understanding how I can make money work for me, right? I started, I had to rebuild, right? I didn't start out, let's go back into entrepreneurship, right? I started back at very low, right? After a bankruptcy, 0, and rebuilding my credit, right? And then going to work corporate jobs and slowly strategizing how I can come back. But now I understand how I can actually utilize my money. And now I'm a full-time entrepreneur, and had my business for close to 6 years now. And I absolutely agree with Christine. You have to look at, don't go spend every dime you have, right? You have to have a savings, right? And you have to weather the storm. And in entrepreneurship, your success rate is based on cash flow. And especially during this pandemic example, why are so many businesses closing their doors? And then there are people that can weather that storm. Just because the weather's well, you don't go start buying Mercedes and buying bigger houses and doing all these things, right? It's what the media wants to sell you, what the marketing wants to tell you. But I mean, if you can, then that's great. But I do agree with Christine. Do you have savings to weather those storms? And I think it leads into our next topic, right? How do you cash flow? And I think a lot of people don't understand what cash flow really is, right? It's not just having a lot of money, right? Cash flow is the ability to weather storms and different things like that. So Aldric, Tim, Jeremy, Christine, your turn.
Should I go first? Because I sort of answered that the last round.
We have the money queen goes first.
Oh yeah, that's better.
Okay.
Could be your pet topic though. I would love to hear
so
your perspective on cash flow and taxes. That would be very interesting.
And taxes?
Yeah, let's see how you put them
Okay,
together.
sure. Yeah. So cash flow to me, okay. So as an entrepreneur, I mean, like we don't have a steady paycheck, right? Right, Kevin. So you understand that, like we literally have to hustle. So it's like there's a there's very different mentality with the entrepreneur and employee mindset. Employee, they get comfortable, steady paycheck, so they're not in this hustling mentality. And then there's nothing wrong. Some people are just not meant to be entrepreneurs, right? So for us, like we need to be in positive cash flow. How can you be in positive cash flow? You have to hustle. Like you have to have the hustle mentality. Like if you don't market, if I don't show up on LinkedIn every day, if I don't do any of that, like I will never get sales. If I don't have sales, I don't have money. If I don't have money, I don't have food. So how can I pay for my mortgage and everything else, right? So you
Yeah.
have to hustle, and you need that cash flow. You need to always be on passive cash flow. So I'm always on top of my budgeting. Like I know, so this is the first week, so I'm really happy. Like I hit a lot of my goals this week. Like I'm already on passive cash flow. So everything else, the rest of the month is just gonna be all profit. So that's why cash flow is very, very important. You have to be on top of it. Like I know several friends of mine who just quit their job, and then they think, oh yeah, like clients are just gonna come in, and then they hate doing marketing. They hate doing all of that because like there's two there in the business. Like there's working on the business, which is like 80-90% of the time, which is the marketing and everything, customer service. You do everything, right? Unless you have the money to hire VA or whatever. But if you're just starting out, you don't have the money to pay for all of that. So you have to do everything, right? So then 20%, 10 to 20% is really the time spent with clients. So to be honest with you, if you look at my weekly schedule, like I don't have many hours of client facing actually. So a lot of my time is working on the other stuff, and that's fine. And you know what? I don't need a lot of clients to be profitable. And that's why I don't want too much time on a one-on-one. And then because then it's very draining. The reason it's draining is because I put so much in my one-on-one client. Like, like when you're so passionate about something, like you just give like 120 or 150% of your energy there. Like after the session, you're like, oh, I'm tired. And it's like a good tired. And you just want to like go to the TV. I just want to veg and like, I just want to watch TV because like you're done. Your energy's done. And it's good. It's good. You're living your life. And I love that. So basically, yeah, that's what I mean. Like entrepreneurship, you have to be on positive cash flow all the time. And then in terms of taxes, Aldric, you were asking. So okay, with entrepreneur, then we had the self-employment taxes now, right? You understand that,
Woo!
Kevin? So
Of course.
like, no, like,
Actually, it's the same. It's the same for Singapore.
oh, okay,
Employee and employers.
uh
If
huh,
you really understand like the international tax code, it's the
mm-hmm.
same tax code.
Oh, okay.
It's an enemy for the employees, but it can be a friend to the employers if you understand it. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think
Yep.
you're on point on that one. Sorry
Okay,
for the
so
hijack.
I'm
Just go
not
ahead.
I'm not too familiar with the Singapore tax code. So I tend to not go there. Like I was like, oh, there's so much to work. So that's why I just focus on the US. But
Yeah.
that's good. If it's similar, so there we have the self-employment tax, like you have to pay the employer share and employee share. So it tends to be higher if you don't know how to work it. So there's
Yep.
different legal entity you can do. There's business. So for me, I like to just keep mine sole proprietorship because then I want to keep it simple, and then I just want to make sure that I manage everything pretty well. So that's in terms like I like for my taxes, I like to keep it as simple as possible. So later on, maybe when I start to make a lot more money, then I might convert to an S corporation. So I don't know, Kevin, if you're an S corporation now, but I think for
Yep,
now
I
I'm happy
am.
with the sole. Yeah, I'm happy with the sole proprietorship. So yeah, so the tax advantage of S corporation,
Yep,
right?
I'm in S corp. Yep.
Yep. Yeah. So for me, I haven't done that because I like to keep it things simple. So I'm not sure about Singapore. So yeah. So basically, cash flow is just it's mainly about like making sure that you're always watching your your money, like what it comes in, goes out, and then like I'm always trying new things to be able to bring in income. That's why I have multiple sources of income. Like I do financial coaching, I do tax preparation and planning, and then now I started to do LinkedIn coaching now, and then I just recently launched it last month. Then I also just launched my LinkedIn online course now, but I also have an online budgeting course, but I'm thinking of doing another digital product for my financial literacy. So I have another digital product because like there's only so much time you have for one-on-one coaching. So I want to try to devote on other things, but there's a lot of projects to do, like my live stream. Like I want to convert that to a podcast, and then like I haven't done that yet because I already have several. So I don't know if you guys are gonna convert yours to a podcast podcast too, because why not just utilize the audio and then push it so you have, you're gonna be in more places. So I'm actually thinking about that because I probably have 10 live stream now, so I can just push that out, and then so you can be, I can be in more platforms as well.
We're already on the podcast.
Yep.
Oh, this is
That's
podcast.
Tim's job. So
Oh,
I think this is a good
Our poster
conversation.
child for that.
Yeah. So I just want to jump in real quick. While Christine was saying, and Aldric too, you guys were talking about services, right? And when we're talking about cash flow, and I know Dennis is on his entrepreneur journey, and I think here's some good tips here. A lot of the people who are starting out in entrepreneurship or coaching and different things like that, you need to start looking at creating products, versus just services, because Christine's absolutely right? Earlier in my career, I've done my share of consulting, coaching, different things like that, but you only have so many hours in the day, right? And not only you, if you want to work 12 hours days, that's great. But guess what? Your clients don't. They work in an 8-hour window. Okay. So you have to try to fit them all in, and you have a ceiling, right? So I always say create businesses that are sticky. Services where people can't just leave. And that's how you can take advantage of cash working for you, right? There's certain things, example, subscription services are great, right? Think about it. If you're using QuickBooks and you're so deep into it, your business, most likely you don't want to leave QuickBooks. It's a sticky business. Same thing, Microsoft, Windows, it's a sticky business. You aren't going to stop using Windows only if you jump to an Apple product. But guess what? It's a habit. You're already used to Microsoft, and you're going to be a Microsoft user. But you can do the same thing with your business, no matter what you do, right? Like example, I do digital marketing, right? I understand my client's brand is very important to them. And if I can build them up, I can build all these services up social media wise. My clients are on retainers, right? I don't really do the one-off graphic design or let's build a quick website or different things like that. That's not the type of business I run. So all my clients are on agreements where they're retained. And it's very sticky because if I do a good job, my team does a good job, they don't want to leave. Why would they leave? Because they're putting themselves in a position where now they got to do all this stuff, right? So it's sticky. So I think it's so important when people who are new to the entrepreneurship, I think it's important to think about how can I create products that people need month after month, and that creates a positive cash flow for you. And it's a lot much easier to calculate based on instead of hourly. If you have retainer approach, then you know how much money you have, for the next several months, right? So just a thought while we're talking about it. But
I think that's relevant. Yeah, I think that's relevant. Yeah, because when we think about cash flow and recurring cash flow, most of us, we start off with our employment contract, right? Now think about it. It's the contract that gives us the recurring cash flow. We can bootstrap it. So basically, the way that contract is structured is that you sell 30 days of your time, you're paid. And then you sell another 30 days, you're paid, right? So when we are going and approaching our entrepreneur's journey on one of Dennis' questions, is that when we are serving our clients, right? No matter what kind of arrangements that we get to, what's the kind of contract that you can construct? To Kevin's point, a retainer is a contract that is a long-term one, and it performs similarly, not totally the same, but similarly to your employment income type of contract, right? Of course, there's many other contracts that are performance-based, for instance, that's totally not based on retainers. It could be like we do and agree based on a certain milestone, and if I finish ahead of time, right? I'm not going to nickel and dime you, but if I finish ahead of time, let's agree on an incentive, right? So I'm a big fan of that one. I'm not such a big fan of retainers. I understand why people do that, but because of the nature of one of the things that I do, which is coaching, I don't want people to think that I'm out there to sell based on my time and I'm billing them based on my time. So sometimes I will convert them into a more performance-based ones to say that, look, if I get you to your objective early, right? Forget about the retainers. How about incentive? Let's do that, right? So then there's no conflict of interest, right? There's no like the clients are thinking like, you are definitely delaying. You want me to pay you more based on your hours, and then on my side, definitely I'm delaying because I'm charging you by the hour, right? So that's one thing. And then I think when it comes to cash flow and things like that, Christine mentioned a point on budget. I work on a budget that most people tell me that's pretty ruthless. I budget per day. I'm looking at a fixed expenditure of, for instance, 100 is an arbitrary number, 100 a day. And that 100 must not come from my savings, my current account, or my investments, or my dividends, or my bonds, or my revenue, or my quarterly earnings from private equity. No. That 100 needs to come from the earnings that day. That day. So whatever I do that day, it is with the purpose of generating at least 101 bucks. So I don't touch what I have. I continue to build on what I have. And that ties in with the mentality of hustling, right?
Yep.
I think
Yes.
Christine hustle a lot. I'm a big fan of marketing. I'm not a digital marketer, but I'm a big fan of
Yep.
marketing
Yep.
because I think at the end of the day, it's always the thing that sells the thing that really matters. It's not my service or product that matters. It's me. I sell my service and products. Marketing, me. I post twice a day. I tweet 5 times a day. I'm on podcasts. I do webinars. You know, like when this episode goes on YouTube, I go and I ask people to go watch and things like that.
Yep.
I do live interviews, right, and things like that. Man, I'm trying to hijack all your senses, like your audio, your text, and whatsoever.
Yep.
Like, well, all I want you guys to know is that, hey, just have to know there's this crazy guy called Aldric. He exists. If I have any issues, I can look out for him, and that's what I want to. I think to build cash flow and to hustle, a lot of people, they probably got it wrong somewhat. They think that it's the sales first and the service delivery first. I don't think so. I think it's the marketing first. On an arbitrary allocation of effort per day, I think I focus 75% of my effort per day on marketing, like replying on comments, like posts, like trying to see what's going on via Twitter. I learned a lot about the US from Twitter. I mean, it's wow, but anyway.
From
Totally
Trump,
with you.
from Donald Trump's Twitter.
Oh,
From
man,
president.
more than that.
So
More than that.
For Aldric, Twitter is the wild, wild west.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
I'm not even on Twitter. I mean, I am on Twitter, but I never log into Twitter. I don't understand Twitter, to be honest. I'm like,
I
what
don't
is this
understand Twitter too. You're not alone. You're not
Huh?
alone.
Yeah, it's like what's this tweet? I'm like, well, are you supposed to like do like one sentence? I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Tim, you had something to
I think
say.
I'll leave this opening to Tim. Tim is on the sales
Yeah.
path, but let's hear from him.
I'm laughing at the comments of this, like Tim has a teddy bear and stuff. It's like, you guys should read the comments. I was like, they're having like so much fun in the comments.
I'll break it out a little bit. Let me put, I got a button up today. Like, let me put the serious face on, and then I'll go get the bear after everybody address cash flow. Yeah, anyway.
I think we would have a bigger audience if you bring the bear out.
This show has totally been hijacked. I'm sorry. So anyway, cash flow. Gee, where do I start? I totally lost my train of thought.
Start with the bear.
All right, cash flow. Right. First of all, for me, cash flow is minimize your expenses. That's how I look at it, right? Because it's very easy to have positive cash flow if your expenditures are not exorbitant.
Mhm.
That being said, you got to make the money to have the cash flow. So all of you guys have already said this. So I'm not saying anything groundbreaking here. I'm just kind of simplifying the message. For me personally, in my business, I take small jobs, I take big jobs. So like for Kevin, he's like, hey, I don't necessarily want a one-off website. I'll take a one-off website build for somebody because it gets my foot in the door. Because if somebody doesn't want to pay me $5,000 a month initially, but I say, well, look, I'll do a website for you for $500, right? They could swallow the $500 in the car business because their website sucks, and they know it's going to bring them return. So I'll take a small job to get my foot in the door, and then eventually turn it into a consulting gig. But at the end of the day, like that's how you get the cash flow, right? You can't turn down money. There is some stuff that's not worth my time. To Christine's point, you don't discount your services for some things, right? But again, if you get your foot in the door with a small gig and turn it into something consistent, a subscription-based consulting gig, that's how you turn it into cash flow. So, but the key all along is, my business is not a big expenditure business. So with that being said, positive cash flow for me is not hard. Then it's just managing my personal expenses. So that's how I feel about cash flow. I don't want to take up too much time. Let's get to Jeremy.
I guess I'm next, right?
You are, Jeremy.
Yeah, so I'm always the odd one out because everyone on this chat is sort of a coach or entrepreneur or some sort. And so I had the privilege of hearing you guys go. So I just wanted to touch on a few concepts, right? Like Christine spoke about your salary as an employee mindset, right? The biggest thing I've learned recently, based on what I read on social media, really, for a full-time employee, you got to think about it. Although you have a very stable source of income, cash flow inwards, but always think of it this way, right? It's a subscription that the company is keeping you on for your services and value delivered. It is a subscription. It is not something that is guaranteed, because I'm not sure how it works in the US, but in Singapore, it's very, very employer biased. You can have something on contract, but if tomorrow they say sorry, we gotta let go of you, you're gone. There's no guarantee in terms of compensation because it's very employer centric. Even if you're in union, there isn't a law that will protect you if you get retrenched and you get X amount of money for X amount of time you are in the company. So just be mindful of that. There's no guarantee, there's no law. You are not protected. So always be mindful that your services, your income, your salary is a subscription to the company. So the day that you're not valuable anymore, the subscription goes away. Just like the day you don't like Netflix anymore, you terminate the subscription. So that's very important. So if you know that really for a full-time employee, your cash flow inwards is either 1 or 0, right? You have it or you don't. So what happens if you don't have any more cash flow in? You lose your job, right? That's the whole thing that's in my head all the time since the last time I lost my job. Is what keeps me awake. I think a lot of employees, full-time employees, probably only realize that their value is only as much as if they're in a company. Otherwise, they get $0 coming in. So with that in mind, you need, at least for me, I need to think about, what do I have in the back if I lose my job tomorrow? Right now, I don't have anything. I do have this live chat. Hopefully, it turns into something. But that touches on the concept of hustling, right? Hustling and investing in yourself. Unfortunately, I'm very late into the game for this. Investing in myself. The only thing I did recently in the past 2 or 3 years was really to do a personal branding sort of investment in myself. Hence why I'm in LinkedIn and all this. But really, it's trying to build hopefully a plan B, sort of a safety net in case tomorrow I don't have a job anymore. Maybe I have some network I can tap on, which was something I never leveraged on in the past. So that's the whole reason why, when I mentioned why I'm on LinkedIn in the earlier episode. So this is the whole reason why I'm doing this. It's really about having that backup, But what do I do in terms of backups? I have savings, but I'm probably like the stupidest guy on earth. I still believe in the 8th wonder of the world, interest rates, which are really low. But I don't do stocks and shares, right? I don't think I can sleep well, with the thing fluctuating so much and something that I have no control. So I don't do that. So I just park my money in a fixed D and make that amount of money without making sure that I don't lose my principal. It doesn't get easier than that. It doesn't get simpler than that. But more importantly, I want to touch upon another concept called budgeting. Like Tim mentioned, right? Watch what you spend. I always tell people it's not how much you make, it's how much you spend, right? You could make $100, but you spend 120. You're never gonna have that kind of a cash flow, right? You're never gonna have savings. You're never gonna have enough for a rainy day. But the more important concept to budgeting really is on a day-to-day basis. Are you tracking your expenditure? Right? It hasn't been easier than now, right? So I do track my expenditure day to day. Every time I spend on something, I go on my handphone, I go on an app and type, this is what I spend. It goes into a category, right? It's on kids, or is on a personal entertainment, or is it on the home, all that. And at the end of the month, I do like a little it comes into a nice pie chart, and then you can see where your savings go. And if I'm hardworking, I copy all those information onto Excel spreadsheet. I do some calculation, and usually I do that like once a year. If I am hardworking, I will look at what comes in and what goes out and see if I have any savings, right? So that's how I manage cash flow. And I just wanted to part with a few of these concepts that I think works for me. But probably doesn't work very well because I'm not like the richest guy. But it's enough for me to survive, I hope, and have a bit of a savings. But also one more concept really is you need to think about insurance, right? Because that will come in and wipe out everything, right? So I think that's also important. People might disagree. So yeah, I just wanted to end with that. Yeah. Any comments?
Oh, I was gonna talk about the insurance thing. So I don't know how insurance works in Singapore, but I'm a big believer that's a non-negotiable insurance. So sadly here in America, like people pretty much change the Obamacare into something that's like not mandatory anymore, which I think was a sad thing to change. But because then you need insurance. That's the entire to insure, because you just don't know what will happen. And I know people who are not buying insurance because you don't have penalty anymore for it, so you can literally not have insurance. But I think you still need it because then you don't know, especially coronavirus. What if you got coronavirus and you end up at the hospital for 2 weeks or more? How much will that be if you don't have any health insurance? So buy health insurance. I think that's a non-negotiable. Even my pets, I have 2 dogs. I have health insurance. I mean, not pet insurance for them, and it literally only costs like $200 a year. No, seriously, because I'm glad I did. You know what happened 2 years ago? Oh my god, it was a year where like everything went wrong with the dogs. Like, and then so one dog, she literally broke her molar. Like they chew on stuff. So if you go to a regular veterinarian, what they do, they just want to take out that molar. That's the easy way for them. I didn't want that. I said that's a molar. That's a very important teeth. So we literally had to go to a specialist, a vet dentist. So we had to go there, and then they did a root canal on her. So they kept the 2 tooth. So I was so happy. That cost, you know how much that cost? $4,000 out of pocket. But good thing I had insurance, so it didn't cost me that much. Then like a month or two later, oh my god, the young dog, like it swallowed some pills, like because there was another dog that stayed over, and then the other dog was like, like finding so many things, and it was kind of my fault. I left some pills on the coffee table. Our dogs don't touch, but the guest dog touched it, so he took it, and then like we literally had to take them to emergency. So they had to pump the stomach. They had to stay at the emergency for like a week. So you know how much that cost? Another $3,000. So imagine if I had to pay out of pocket. So that's expensive. 7,000 right there, easy. I mean, I might have the savings, but I'm not gonna spend all that. Especially like I can buy something $200 per dog per year for annual insurance. I think that's a no-brainer. I think even people who have pets, please get pet health insurance, because then the younger you start, then the cheaper it will be. Because also the thing with pet insurance is that they don't cover pre-existing condition. So if you have this, and then let's say, I don't know, they got some sort of condition, skin condition, whatever, then you switch insurance at 4 or 5 years old, they're not going to cover the skin condition, the whatever that happened before that. So you
Yeah.
literally kind of want to stay in the same insurance forever, because it's not the same as human insurance. So that's something you have to watch out for. Most pet insurance, they don't cover pre-existing condition. Yeah. So I'm
I
very
think
big on this, because like I really hate seeing like the GoFundMe. Like it's like, GoFundMe, my dogs, I don't know, have some sort of surgery, and I'm like, why don't you just get pet insurance? Like I'm not gonna like support that unless, like, I don't know, it's a good friend of mine. But it's like, just get pet insurance. Like it's part of the responsibility of being a pet owner. So you have to have insurance. I don't know about Singapore, but here in the US, I mean, those vet surgeries, everything's expensive here medically. Okay,
Same,
so
same.
insurance, yeah.
it's medical cost is always an issue, but just to tie it back to the topic today, which is cash flow, right?
Yeah.
We are always attracted to the cash inflow, but sometimes we miss out. Like, oh man, it's leaking. hey, it's leaking. Let's try to like fill up the holes, right? Like that's how I think about when I look at let's say some form of deals on my paper or on my table and things like that. I think about the covenant. I think about the worst case scenario. I think about if that young upstart entrepreneur, when they're pitching for funding or when they're selling some piece of their equity, like, are you able to tell me if all hell breaks loose, what's happening to your business? And if you can, and that's the worst case scenario, and you're confident that that's really the worst one, I'm in with you, if you know. Because as with cash flow, protecting our downside is very important. I don't want outflows. I want to close them as much as I can. The upside, I'll let it come, right? So I think the insurance mindset is not just about the policies. It's about the way we think about our businesses. I think Kevin will understand that. I think Timothy will understand that too. It's like, hey, at the bare minimum, our efforts daily, I'm closing off all these issues and I'm nipping it at the bud, right? So that's why if we have any form of a VAs or content producers, and if they produce something slightly out of scope, we'll be like, hey, you're off. The client's gonna chew us alive, right? He's gonna chew us alive. Hey, watch it. So I think that's why that's the kind of thing that drives the way we think about things. Whether it's cash flow, I think cash flow is one thing. Cash outflow is a very big thing, right? If it's a small hole, that's good. Better attend to them like now, right? You won't want that small hole to become a Titanic. You won't want a little filling operation to become a teeth extraction operation, right? So it's a, how should I say? It's a preparation mindset, really. Yeah, go ahead, Kevin. Go ahead.
I think people forget too, when we're talking about cash flow finances, right? This is something you can control.
Oh, definitely.
You know, so there are things in this world, pandemic, you can't control. Okay, your government,
you can stay home.
Your
You can stay
government,
home.
you can't control. Okay, you know, you can control a little bit, but you know, overall, you know, it takes a lot of us in order to control it, right? And it depends what country you live in. But cash flow, you can control. You know, it's on you. You have no one to blame. You know,
Yep.
I mean, the opportunities are out there to make money. Yeah, I mean, there's jobs out there. Even when economy is bad, there are jobs. It's just we're picky. We don't want to pick those jobs. But hey, you can always feed yourself. You can always find a place to live. It might not be the ideal, but it's out there, right? And then you can create cash flow. So it takes, like everyone else on here just said, it takes hustling, you know, doing something, right? And I think that's so important. It's just focusing on the things you can control. And cash flow is huge.
Yeah, and then we have
Definitely.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, it's fine.
I was gonna say like the audience are like full of hustlers. See, they're giving like ideas for DJ and all kinds of cash ideas. Wow, you got amazing audience right there. So Timothy, we expect you to do DJ and then maybe market it next time, and then people might want your services.
Timothy, I have a business idea for you, okay? Hey, Tim, right now there's a pandemic going on. A lot of people are bored at home, and people get tired of shows like this where we just talk about business stuff. To be honest, if you did like an online live DJ show on LinkedIn, I guarantee you at around 9 p.m., it'll be way more popular than Bottoms Up Perspective.
Okay, so
You're laughing.
okay, who's gonna be the
Take the
singer?
payment.
Who's gonna be the singer?
I'll take the payment.
Okay, who's the singer? So Timothy DJ, who's the singer?
I can sing, but it's mostly.
DJ show. I'll add a link. All right. I mean, hey, I don't turn down money. We're talking about
New
money.
hustle.
Let's talk money. I don't turn down money.
We're gonna do a live LinkedIn karaoke
That works for Jeremy too.
with DJ DeJesus.
Yeah.
I need to get a new mic.
I think
You get a good mic,
that
Christina.
ties in with the. Oh, that's great.
Got it all, bro.
Oh man, you guys are and then like make sure to invite Amy, Kwok,
Look,
Jen,
Amy's
Kwok.
dope
They're
as hell.
gonna be joining in the fun because like they're the one with all the ideas. Make
New
sure
hustle, new hustle.
someone will sing, someone will dance, and someone does a DJ, and then someone does the whatever like cheering and on the side.
Hey,
Oh my
Kevin, remember we talked about the
It's just
donate
that,
button?
tying
You know-
with the hustling idea, you never know what kind of exposures or contents that actually open up more doors, isn't it? It's very interesting. Like I caught Timothy's post on the DJing one too. So the point is this, right? I think all of us, we are too caught up on the micro game within social media, which is the likes, the comments, the reshares and things like that. Oh my God, that guy disconnected with me. I'm like, dude, like get a life. Like that's not the point, right? But the thing is, if you have few likes, very little comments, but like Timothy, that DJ post, everyone remembers, everyone think about entertainment and wants to contact him. I think Timothy is going to be very happy with that post. Like, hey, this is a right post. I love it, right? And then I did one post on my dental trip. Until today, people are like DMing me like, oh man, your dentist must be stunning. Like, which clinic is that? I'm like, dude, that's not the point. The point is that she has good salesmanship. It has nothing to do with her base. And that post, for some reason, it has gotten me one podcast invite and a webinar invite. So you never know. I mean, like to the spirit of hustling, just venture into the unknown. It's like, what's stopping us from typing a little something about our life and things like that? Just getting out there, right? Because you never know what's gonna come. Like sometimes, somehow, somewhere, someone is like, oh geez, I never know that we can do that. Or so let's reach out to this guy. Maybe he knows how to do things, but actually we don't know how to do things, but we try to believe that we know how to do things. Like Tim, I don't know if you're a real DJ or not, but if someone would ask you for DJ services, you are gonna do it,
I'm
right?
very much a real.
Aldric is
Listen.
questioning you.
Aldric's
Prove it,
questioning
prove it.
her skill set.
Perfectly understand.
And I love LinkedIn. I promise you.
Oh, you guys.
Shit. But yeah, I mean, listen. If you guys notice now, here's. You want to hear a breadcrumb trail? So my posts have been very linear this week because I talk about multiple sources of income.
Yeah.
And there you go, DJing, entrepreneur, and they're one and the same, really. But
Yeah.
the reality is, I have a different business outside of DJing. But I talked about multiple sources of income. We talked about it on the show, and at the end of the day, it's all revenue. It all goes to the same place, which is my checking account, right? So I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's important to have more than one revenue stream. You don't have to be a DJ, but do something that you love and enjoy that makes you money. That's the way I feel about it.
So
And
Chris,
that's just DJing is probably the most passionate. I could care less if I made a dime off it. I love it. It's fun. So
So, Christine, what are you drinking there?
Was that too loud?
Thanks for asking the question. I was thinking
I
about
was
it.
curious too.
Oh no, my boyfriend made this avocado shake. It's called the avocado coffee shake. It actually tastes really good. So yeah, it's like because like we have an avocado that's ripe. You know, you buy from Costco. It's like large chunk, and then it's like they go ripe the same day. Like so he just decided to make the shake. So it's like summer here. It's warm.
That is awesome.
I
So,
should have muted myself, huh? Because like it's the last piece. So it's like if you slurp.
Man,
Sorry.
this has been a fun ass chat. I have to say, this shit's been fun.
but that's the whole point here, right? The whole idea is bottoms up. If you can see all the bar stools and the beer up top, the whole point is, hey, this is no different than a conversation if we were sitting at a lounge or at the bar together, right? Happy hour. It's just a conversation we like to have with our audience and talk about some trending topics. No one's right and no one's wrong, right? It's just being open-minded, have a global perspective, right? And just look at things different, And there's so many ways when you talk money, right? How you can utilize it, how you can accumulate it, how you can lose it, right? Some people like losing it, and who knows?
I don't like
right?
losing it. I'll tell you that. I promise you that.
Yep. But the whole point is, hey, we're here to just discuss and talk and chat. And that's what's so awesome about this show. And Christine, it's been awesome tonight too. Just being able to share with us, your experience with money. And so my question to you is how you got the name Money Queen.
Oh, yes, the good question. So actually, one of my followers gave it to me. I didn't make that up. Okay, so one of my followers, I don't know, she's been following me a while and commenting. So one day she's saying something about replying to a comment to the post and said, "Money Queen, I love this." And then like other people replied to the comment, "Oh, I like that, I like that." And then I said, "Oh, ha ha ha, maybe I should put that in my headline. I wasn't too serious." And they're like, "Go for it, go for it, go for it." And then I said, okay, sure, why not? So I just changed it to Money Queen. It was I don't know, I kind of like it now, so I'm gonna keep it. So Money Queen.
It's good.
And
It's
then,
good.
yeah, people are starting to
Definitely
say, "Oh,
good
Money
branding.
Queen."
It's
Oh,
definitely good
thank you.
branding marketing.
I'm gonna create a hashtag, the Money Queen. I was gonna make that mine.
Yeah,
Like,
man.
I have 3
Hey.
hashtags now. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, see,
I
I
think-
didn't make that up. My followers did. Like, I'm not very good at making up names, so I'm happy she gave me that name. Maybe I should tag her for making that up.
I think it's a
Yeah.
very strong personal branding. It's like I talk about financial freedom every Friday based on my content posts, and on and off, people will be saying, "Oh, that's the topic for Christine," and then you're tagged into that post out of the blue. I didn't tag you, someone else tagged you. So I thought like, okay, that's very interesting. So I'll just do it once a week. I'm not gonna do it every day because I don't wanna go head on. I'm just gonna do something else. And sideline, I'm just gonna talk a little bit about that because that's really interesting. But I think for our general audience out here, especially for the young ones cross Atlantic, right? I'm always taking care of our relationships there. I think when it comes to personal branding, as a side topic, but it's still very important in terms of deriving our cash flows because we are our own products to begin with. As an entrepreneur or as on the side or a freelancer or solopreneur to speak, when people know you and when your name sticks, it becomes a real brand name. It's a lot easier. You don't need to justify what you do anymore. It's in the open and people know you, right? So why not spend some time on that? If you are really, really interested into like building cash flows for yourself and things like that, it's the work that gives you the paid work. It's never about, don't think too much about, I only serve my clients after they pay me and things like that. It doesn't work that way. Truthfully, it doesn't work that way. A bulk of my time that I spend, they are not paid, but I have to do it in order to be paid. So I think learning from you in terms of your personal branding, it's a real life lesson. It's a real life lesson. Hustling,
Thank
cash
you so much.
flow. Yeah.
Yeah, because like I was gonna say that I started on LinkedIn September, October of last year. So I just because then I wasn't sure which social media to focus on. So my niche is working professional. So of course they are on Instagram and many other places, right? But to link for me, LinkedIn just makes sense to me, like working profession. I have been on LinkedIn for a long time, but I don't do anything with it except for to update my profile. I got a new job, whatever, but I have no idea like what the heck is LinkedIn. But then like I decided to just deep dive into it, and then like and then just really like with anything, right? To build a relationship, you spend time on it. So I started spending time on LinkedIn, like at least an hour a day, just engaging, and then just just being aware of like noticing what people do, and then just slowly I have been spending every single day at least an hour a day. Then I slowly start posting, and then that's kind of how you grow. You really have to commit to spending time. Even like people who hire me as a coach or buy the online course, like I tell them, you have to have time at least an hour. I mean, you can buy the course and you don't do the work. I mean, you're not gonna grow, so you can't blame me for that. You still have to do the work. I'm not gonna do the work for you. I just guide you to do the work, unless you hire a VA. So I know, like I know people or some influencers here, like they just hire VA to do the engaging and the responding messaging. I don't want that. I like the authentic engagement, and I have fun. Like the chat and stuff like that. I like that. I like the interaction. I like social media. I do enjoy it. I think for some people they just don't enjoy it, so they hire a VA. But it's not me. Like it's I don't build that relationship. If if I have my VA, I would have known Aldric if that was my VA, and then Aldric messaged me later, and then you'll be like, yeah, Christine, you've been telling me this, and I'll be like, what? Oh yeah, that was my VA who responded, not me. So that's like inauthentic, right? So
Yeah.
I don't want that. That's why I try to be efficient with my time. So I still do everything, and then that's all it is. You have to be just efficient with your time. You have to know how to manage your time if you're gonna be an entrepreneur. Otherwise, you're gonna get sucked into the rabbit hole of LinkedIn the whole day. So you have to manage that time. Yeah.
I
Thank
think
you
I
so
think
much,
for all
guys.
of us,
Yes.
who really understand marketing and our own businesses, we will not have VAs to do the engagements for us, right? It doesn't make sense. Seriously,
Yep.
it's like
And I
it's
think
like
that's
how
so key too. Is exactly what Christine said. Is just
yeah.
being able to balance, right, and
Mhm.
being able to be the authentic you. And I think she can attest to that. I mean, she built is it over 50K, right, followers, but she's engaging. She's putting in the work. And I
Yep.
think so many people are looking for this hands-free magic. And I
Well,
always tell my client it's called a unicorn. It doesn't exist. Even large corporations, they want these agencies like us to just do it for them. And I'm like, I'm not there every day. I don't know what's going on. And I was like, I can coach you. We can empower your team to do these social media platforms better. But if you're looking for someone to do it for you, it's like a unicorn. It's not out there. And you have to, like Aldrich said, you have to personally engage, and still put in the work. All of us, all five of us, we spend probably a good hour to hour and a half or two
Depends on
daily
the
just
day.
responding to comments, and building relationships,
Yep.
So
Depends
yeah.
on the day.
Exactly.
Some days I can't. Some days there's days where I do go dark on LinkedIn. It's few and far between. There are a day or two where I can't get to it. I got too much stuff in real life. So, but
Yep. Yeah, sometimes it's very draining. So you do have to manage your time. And then there were a time where I almost got burnout. So I actually made it every other day of posting. But I do feel like something's missing if I don't post something today. Like I'm gonna tell myself, oh, I'm so tired. The next day I say, I gotta post. And then I normally post at 8 a.m., even 7 to 8 a.m. PST. But later on, like up like to 9 o'clock, 10, I'm like, I feel something's missing with my day if I don't post. So I end up posting like around 10, 11 o'clock. So I don't know. It just became a habit. I like the interaction. So I end up posting. So I just post once a day. And then like, I know some people say post twice a day, 3 times a day. But for me, my opinion is that I don't think you need to do multiple posts a day. Do one really good post per day, and then you make sure it's really good, that you're gonna attract as much engagement, and then then you can keep engaging with the comments, because it's very hard for you. You have 2 or 3, like let's say it's very high engagement, then you won't have any more time, So I do a lot of back end stuff too. So I think that's why one post a day is good enough for me. Yeah.
And I do the same thing. I do a post a day, and I think people forget the value is not just in the posts; it's in your commenting. If you think of it this way, right? When you think of social media platforms, right? And I've been doing social media since my MySpace days. Okay, these are relationship platforms. So they're not lead generation platforms. They're not business platforms. They weren't designed that way. They're designed for you to connect with others and build relationships. So if you want to grow these relationship platforms, you need to build relationships. It's a no-brainer, people. Stop trying to use it as a sales platform. This is not a sales platform, okay? There's a lot of sales platforms out there, okay, tied to a CRM. And you can trigger it. You can blast people all day, okay? But these are relationship platforms. So guess what? How do you build relationships? You talk to people. I can follow Christine all day, but until she hop on my live show, it's totally changed. Now I'm going to go engage with her because I feel like I know her. Okay? Same thing. Aldric, Jeremey, Timothy, I didn't know them from Adam before LinkedIn. But I went and reached out to Aldric and Jeremey and go, hey, you guys are across the sea. I want to get to know you. And then we started talking, and now they became friends. And then they invited Timothy to the group. And now we have this live show. We're on episode 13, But it was one thing after another. And now we've built a bottoms-up family, right? Dennis, who's on our show today, there's multiple people, Amy, different people. But it starts with one droplet, right? And then us commenting and reaching out. That's how you build relationships. And
exactly.
There's nothing different, okay? People always go, the sales has changed, marketing has changed, the way you build relationships changed. How has it changed? How did you build relationships before the internet? If you don't pick up the phone and call people, if you don't walk across the street to your neighbors and go, hi, my name's Kevin. I just moved into this house. Nice to meet you. You won't know your neighbors.
Yeah.
So how has it changed? The vehicles change. So drill that in your head. And if you're looking for some fancy way to do marketing, and I own an agency, guys. I work with large brands. Okay? It's no different. If you're a large brand, you have to connect to people's heart, the emotional aspect. That's what Nike has done really well. Amazon, all the brands that are doing it out there, it touches the heart. They're building relationships just at a larger scale. That's why people buy Starbucks, okay?
It's not because the coffee's amazing.
Exactly.
Oh, man,
it's just really freaking
so expensive.
No comment.
But no, I mean, Kevin, you're 100% right. I mean, and I'll tie it back to money, right?
Yep.
It's exactly like you said, right? I mean, I'm wearing a Nike hat, just like you said. And truth be told, like, I invested in Nike. Like, I'm a shareholder now. Like, that's how much I freaking love Nike. Like, but that's because of the marketing and branding. And also because the stock is doing okay. But, in all seriousness, I mean, you get that literally invested in a brand, and that's what happens. So, if you want people to spend money on you, you have to build your brand to that point where somebody is that invested in you, So I think that's, to tie it back to money, that's how I think all the relationship matters and how you're going to turn a relationship into dollars, by getting people to follow your brand and, being unique. So
For sure.
Yep.
Do I need to break out the teddy bear and the DJ equipment since it was such
Please.
Let's do it. Let's do it. No, and I think it's so. This is so key. Is I think sometimes we overthink all these social media platforms and all these how business supposed to be, right? What is LinkedIn friendly, right? At the end of the day, people who start something new are the ones that are getting traction, that are building a strong personal brand. So be the first, be original, just like Tim here. He's got his teddy bear out.
Teddy Bear's agreeing with the conversation. Teddy Bear's not.
Oh my god.
This is about to be my new mascot.
Yeah, I think so.
Can we have the bear instead of you, Tim?
The Bear's gonna do the DJing from here on out.
He's gonna come. He's gonna come to the next show in a bear suit.
Maybe create a new profile for the bear.
The bear's beatboxing.
All right. You can cut. This is not for advertisement. You can cut. You can cut. Enough. We have given enough airtime.
This is fun. All right. That being
Unless
said,
you're willing to reverse sponsor the show, you can go all day. We'll dance with you.
listen, that's gonna be the most memorable part of the show. If anybody watches, watch till the 117 mark. They're gonna forward on YouTube until they see that.
Right.
Well,
I think so too.
I'm impressed.
Well, I want to thank Christine for hopping on our show and join us for episode 14 next week. We go talk about the future of the workplace, right? What does that look like for you and for us, right? And we look forward to having the folks that were on this show to hop on next week as well. So talk to you later. Have a good night.
Yeah, great.
And good
Thank
day.
you so
Good
much,
night,
guys.
everybody.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank
you,
Bye.
Christine.
Thank you so much. Bye.